Right, so got another new book. It's called Rats and How to Destroy Them by Mark Hovell. Now, I wanted this book for ages, but never got around to buying it, simply because every copy I found was either really expensive or original copies. Now, original copies I found for about 120 quid. Even these reprinted ones aren't cheap. This one was about 23 quid, and this is just like a reprint of a book, kind of like how they do my books, but you know, they've got the old books and reprinted it, print on demand. 23 quid is quite expensive, but I've read about half the book so far and it is absolutely brilliant. Now, this was written in the 1920s, so some of the stuff is a little bit old. And I've seen a few reviews where people say, you know, it's a good book, but it's a bit outdated. But with a bit of imagination, I reckon you could still use a lot of the methods in here, still use them today if you just change things around a little bit. And I'll explain that in a minute. But it's got loads of different methods for getting rid of rats, including a fair few chapters about trapping them. So what I'm going to intend to do is hopefully can replicate some of these traps in a modern way, and we'll actually see if we can use them. That is as long as I've got rats around here, which I may not have. But if not, I might be able to do it with mice maybe. Because the methods for rats and mice should be relatively the same. When I say about changing the methods for modern ways, right, so most of the traps he mentions, especially kind of killing traps, are gin traps. So I reckon we could change all the traps in this book, change it from a gin trap to a fen trap, and it should work exactly the same, and we can still do it the same way. You've got several different setups, different boxes you can kind of make for like this one for example, the Terrier Signal Run. You see there? And it's got a gin trap in it. Well, that could easily be changed for a fen trap. Several others, all sorts of different methods. And the other ones he's got ideas for are box traps. Now some of them I think he must have had some professionally made, because it says they're patented, like that one, the Terrier Death Run, under a cover. Then he's got some versions, that's the patented one, the Terrier Death Run, a double door trap. Now all of his cages and all of his live traps are double door run through traps. Right, here's one that could be homemade. Terrier blocking trap. And this one, or similar, is another wood one that could be homemade. So we can replicate those and many other bits in here. There's all sorts of things. I've kind of written down lots of diagrams of ones I could do, you know, using modern day traps. And I am going to do some videos on the old ways they set the gin traps as well, so you kind of see both ways. I'll show you how they did it with this, and then we'll actually try it possibly with this, depending, you know, if there's no animals anywhere, then there's not a lot I can do, but if there's animals in the garden, rats and that, then we'll give it a go. So in the book he's mainly got gin traps. He does mention normal snap traps and live catch traps, and as well as loads of various other ways of getting rid of rats by, oh, and he's also got snaring in here as well, which we may give a go. So snaring ferrets, mongoose, requisites for a day's ratting: trailing, dogs, poisoning, viruses, blocking, flooding, fumigation, varnish and rat lime, rodia system, all sorts, trapping, signals. Yeah, he goes to great efforts to say about using signals so that people don't have to walk around keep checking traps. You can see signals from a distance whether they've gone off or not. Very clever. Oh, and here's a great one which I'm definitely going to try. A figure 4 converted to catch rats. Right, so all of his traps in here mainly follow one principle, because he says that absolutely to catch rats and mice you've got to set your traps where they're running against walls. So not out in the open anywhere, but where they're running. And that figure 4, he'd figured a way that you could put a figure 4 up against a wall with a small kind of treadle plate, so as they come running along the wall, they then run over the treadle plate, it pulls the figure 4 apart, and down comes the weight. And that is also why every single one of his live catch traps, or ones with a gin trap in, are open at both ends. And you would always put them against a wall, never away from the wall, so that the rat always ran through it. There is a couple of others where you could use it in slightly different settings, but that was the main one. And he'd also come up with ideas about having traps set permanently all the time. So never ever, so if you caught your rats and you thought that was the end of it, and most people put their traps away, he says no, you've got to keep them traps out all the time. And that's why he had the signals on them, so that you didn't have to keep looking. Tried to, I suppose, more convenient. You can just look out and see, oh, that one ain't gone off, and you just leave it there for weeks, and just just as you walk past it, you don't need to actually open it. So clever bloke, seemed to know exactly what he was on about. It's a big book, 500 pages, nearly 600 pages. Like I said, so far I've read about a bit over halfway. Some of it's not all about trapping, it's just there's quite a few different things. Like there's something weird and different there, which I've never seen before. It says, this diagram shows a trap set on a pole across a stream with a barrier in front of it. The turf cover to the trap has been left out, and the cross sticks on which it should rest have not been sketched, so as to show more clearly the construction of the barrier and the frame set up to support the turf roof. There's all sorts of weird different ones I've never ever seen in here before, and lots of different setups, like I said, including snap traps as well. Obviously the fen trap wasn't around then, but like I said, we can replicate everything the gin trap was used for with the fen trap. I reckon we can. Another thing, funny enough, if Mark Hovell was still alive after reading this book, he would hate what I've just been doing. Keep touching these traps. He's absolutely adamant. He says people will argue that rats don't mind the smell of humans because they go into human areas, but he is absolutely adamant that rats will smell a human scent and dislike it and try and get away from it. So he advocates. He didn't even say to use gloves, because he said gloves, they'd be in and out your pockets and pick up a scent there. He would say use a piece of paper for moving. Even the gin trap, he wouldn't touch it with his hands ever when he set it. He would set it with 2 sticks and his foot to press this down, and then lift each part with a stick and never ever touch the trap. And once the trap had caught a rat, it would be boiled and cleaned and then reset again with little sticks, well, not little sticks, but sticks and his foot. And he reckoned if you used all of these techniques, you would pretty much guarantee success. Whereas most people, you just pick them up, touch them. Most people would pick them up, touch them, not put them where the rats are running. So you know, put it out in the open with some bait, whereas he would say a trap like this with a treadle could go against the wall like that, no bait needed. You could put bait across. He even thought of ways to put blocks of wood or bricks around the trap and then completely fill it with fine sawdust or sand so that it couldn't even see the trap at all, and hopefully it wouldn't smell it, I wouldn't even know it's there, and put a brick, depending on how the trap was set, maybe you might have to put a brick here to make it come around, step over and be caught that way. Really clever. Like I said, seems to know his stuff a lot. So if you ever see that, recommend it. Like I said, some people say that the methods are out of date, but if you've got some imagination, all of or most of the methods in here could be used today, but with just modern traps or modern ideas. Definitely. All the modern ways. Because like I said, he'd already thought of putting traps in boxes, whereas now you've got to put, by law, a fen trap in a run. Well, he was doing that with the gin traps when you probably didn't even need to. You may have needed to, depends what year the Ground Game Act had come in, but that may have actually been the case. But anyway, he'd thought of these things and had done them. And even these ones, it's all set out with baffles to make sure it comes through the middle, a baffle at the bottom to make it step up, small gaps all the way through so the rat is not afraid to come through it, a signal device so that when the trap goes off you can just see it from a distance, you don't have to open it or look. I believe on these ones the bottom is only the 3 bits of wood, so that the ground is like normal, if you know what I mean, how it should be. So anyway, rats and how to destroy them, worth getting, and it's given me tons and tons and tons of ideas. I've drawn down diagram after diagram of different things written down, you know, so I could have ideas and we could try them, tons of them. Right, anyway, so hopefully we should get a fair few videos going soon. Right, thanks for watching, I'll see you later.